Good morning, wonderful morning, excellent afternoon, and fantastic evening. This is Carla from Planet Union, where we chat with anyone in the world for about the world and what your country is like and what you do. And we're here about once a month, and usually it's towards the end of the month for Planet Union. And you're more than welcome to join us. All you need to do is click on that Zoom link, which I'll also put in the chat in a moment, and you can come and join us. I look forward to talking to you. I look forward to having you as a part of this program. I already have Victor Jenkins here, and Huang, I'm not ever saying it again. If you keep your mic closed when you're supposed to have it open, I won't bring you back. I shouldn't have to tell you that every day. And you know that when I say something like that, I mean it, right, Huang?
No problem.
Okay. Having said that, I opened up the wrong room, so we're a little late because I didn't realize I did that. What I'm going to do is allow these guys to introduce themselves. I hope they are sharing this out from the Planet Union page, which I am about to go to now, so they can share it out. And anyone is welcome to join us for this. And we are getting it ready now for you to join us. Victor, do you want to introduce yourself? Actually, it should be ladies first. Huang, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Carla and Victor. So, good morning, wonderful morning, excellent afternoon, and amazing evening to all of you, wherever you are right now. This is Huang from Vietnam. I'm a lecturer in a government university. It's about 100 kilometers away from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. I have been working here for more than 17 years. I have a lot of students, yes, of course, from different countries. And right now, I'm hosting some meeting to talk with different people to know more and to make friends, yeah, to enjoy my life as well. So I really love talking with international friends. So that's why I always ask Carla to add me in any meetings, as many as she can. So thank you so much, Carla. I'm available and ready to be here to talk with other people and to be next to you, Carla. Thank you.
And I am so glad to have you. I just need you to remember not to keep yourself muted because you are here to talk, not to just listen.
Yep, but both,
right?
Both.
And you can only talk if you are unmuted. You have your mic ready to talk. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Victor, do you want to introduce yourself?
Of course, I'm Victor Irving Jenkins, and I'm from Sacramento, California. I am a member of 3 Toastmasters Club. During the day, I do delivery driving, which allows me to interact with lots of people. I've always enjoyed talking from as long as I can remember. In fact, as a boy, the people in my family often referred to me as Mouth Almighty. That's Mouth Almighty. We grew
What
up as
does that
Christians.
mean?
I beg
And
your
also
pardon?
speak a little louder. What does mouth almighty mean?
We grew up in a Christian family and we were all familiar with God Almighty, who is omnipotent and omnipresent. So, mouth almighty, when you draw the analogy, means the guy that talks all the time, that's always using his mouth.
Okay.
And that's why I was dubbed as Mouth Almighty. And it was interesting for me when years later I ran into an organization that was full of people who also like to talk as much as I did, called Toastmasters. In some small way, Toastmasters was probably existing just because I also existed and I needed a place to be me.
Victor, the reason I asked you about what you mean when you say mouth almighty is that many people don't know what that would mean from another point of view or from another country. So when you say something like that, that's something very definite in our country. We understand it, but that doesn't mean that someone from Vietnam knows what you mean. So by making more of an explanation, you're making it clearer to everyone. And Kevin, I didn't even know you were going to come. Thank you for coming. How are you? And please, I know you know these guys, but people who may be watching from a different platform, because we're on YouTube, we're going to be we're on LinkedIn, do not know who you are.
Hard to believe. Okay. So my name is Yocheved. I live in Israel. I'm originally from New York. I work in translation. I translate text from Hebrew to English. I live in Ramat Beit Shemesh, which is between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, although not in a straight line. I am a volunteer matchmaker on a website and married, no children, and a lot of nieces and nephews. There's the basics.
And that's all you need to tell. Now you're in Israel. And what differences do you see in Israel than you may have seen when you were in the United States?
Your parents. One of the things that I was just discussing this with my aunt, who also has moved. I think that Israel is a much more family-friendly society, and like less cutthroat in the, where you have to come to work. It doesn't matter, your child's in the hospital. I don't care, be in the office. There's a lot more value placed, I think, on family. And I would like to think that it's still somewhat less materialistic. I feel like it's a healthier environment. And of course, while America is a secular Christian country, Israel is a secular Jewish country. So, the calendar is maybe the best example of that. Whatever your religion is in America, Christmas time is when everybody's closed, and the holidays that, you sort of see follow Christian holidays, and here it works around Jewish holidays.
Interesting. Do you guys have any questions about that?
I don't.
Do you want to add something? Do you want to? Because here, you're right, the country is different. What would you like to know, or what would you like to add Victor or Huang.
So how long do you think it's?
We just keep talking. What day of the week is it where you are right now?
Same day of the week as you have. We're 7 hours different from New York.
Okay. And what type of weather are you experiencing right now?
Hot. It is hotter. And actually, the neighborhood that I live in, which is part of Beit Shemesh. Beit Shemesh in English is House of the Sun.
Mhm. Now, when it comes to holiday celebrations, what holidays do they celebrate where you are?
Well, again, if the next upcoming next week is Shavuot or Shavuos, which is maybe how more Americans pronounce it, which is translated the holiday of weeks. It's 7 weeks after the holiday of Passover, if you're familiar. And it is traditionally understood to be the time when there was the revelation to Moses at Mount Sinai. Where
Now,
the
Moses, this person, Moses means the same thing to you that it means to me?
if you're reading this Bible, then yes. I think.
Now, the Bible has a New Testament and an Old Testament. Do the Jewish people recognize the New Testament as Bible?
No.
Then, oh, okay. It's kind of difficult to talk about Israel without talking about religion, isn't it?
But is it difficult?
Yeah, to talk about Israel without mentioning religion.
I guess if you're, outside of the country, it would be, one of the issues. I mean, again, Israel is not a theocracy, it's a democracy. So in that sense, but this is what I was saying, can you talk about America without Christianity?
Of course.
There's an interesting.
Yeah.
Well, so then I, think it would be true. Again, it's not a whatever, something in the middle. But yes, it's somewhat. They are connected, and to some degree.
I personally find it difficult to separate when I say Jewish. It always seems to me I'm saying religious rather than ethnic group or rather than nationality for me.
So this is a famous question, if you will, both among academics, among religious thinkers, among philosophers, whatever, is Judaism a religion, a race, a nationality? I've seen all sorts of, you'll see like, what do you call them? Venn diagrams. Maybe there's an overlap. It's a people, it's a nation, it's a religion. And I think it's not clear cut.
Okay.
I'll
continue to monopolize the conversation if you let me.
We do want Gayatri to become a part of this conversation. So let her introduce herself. And Huang, you're here to talk also.
Yes.
Gayatri, can you please introduce yourself so people know who you are?
Thank you so much, Carla. Thank you so much, Victor. Hello, everybody. I'm from India. My name is Gayatri, and I'm a meditation coach. And religion is one of the areas of my study. So it's really very interesting listening to, how would I pronounce your name? I don't want to butcher it.
Yocheved.
Yocheved. It was fun listening to Yocheved talking about Judaism, because it's like, as Victor asked, there's a lot of talk about it, and whatever I have read about Judaism right from the beginning, and how the Jews as a community have come so far, and how, as Victor said, it's little difficult not to get religious when we are talking about Israel, majorly because 3 of the most prominent religions from across the globe have their vested interest in this part of the world because they are in some way connected to Israel. And in fact, I was looking forward to a religious tour to Israel, so I wanted to hear more about that as well, because it was really interesting. So I wanted to ask one question to you about Israel, if that is okay, if you're open to answering a little bit of a difficult question. How does it feel? How does it feel? Because they all spoke about the promised land. So do you think Israel is that promised land now that you have been living there for so long?
Well, the idea of the promised land, right, is that the land that we are meant to be in, that was given to us. And so there's sort of two streams of thought in terms of relating to the land and how it fits. One that I guess you would call the more rational and historical, which says, these are where our roots are. These are where, the prophets have, lived and walked and acted. And so that's where our connection is. There's a famous line, I don't remember which famous Zionist, but was asked, like, this was before we had the state of Israel. Why do you need the state of Israel? You could take somewhere else. It doesn't. And he said, that's like asking, why do you travel for 2 hours to visit your grandmother in Brooklyn? There's so many old people who are right next door. So there's a connection of history, and so that's I guess would be the approach that I relate to more. This is where, my people started. This is, the land that's spoken of in our texts, etc. There is also a more mystical idea of that there's an intrinsic holiness in the land, that it was set aside, that it is in some spiritual or, not quantifiable way special. And I'm happy with my choice to live here. I just wish it wasn't so far away from my family and, where I grew up, because I definitely, didn't come out of dissatisfaction with America or, to get away from anybody or any place. And I, have a lot of appreciation for America, and I visit regularly. Again, my family lives there, a lot of it. But I do like the life here with, not that it's perfect. No one is perfect. No place is perfect. But yeah, I do.
Do you have a lot of family coming to visit?
Well, my mother's afraid to fly. She always has been. She has been to Israel 3 times. I've lived here with a couple of breaks for almost 30 years. My brother has lived here for 25 years. She came for my brother's wedding, and he married a South African. So there was like no way that was going to happen in New York. And she came for a bar mitzvah and a bat mitzvah of grandchildren. And that was it. And at this point, just health-wise, it would be not clear if that would even be viable. And my in-laws used to come quite regularly. I mean, obviously Corona did everybody in for a while there, COVID. But their health is also, not clear that they could make the trip either. I'm not convinced that either set's going to make it again to Israel. So we try to go back over the summer usually.
So you go back more than they do.
Oh, yes. I mean, we go back every year. Again, except for COVID. That was one of the things that my mother said to me when I said, okay, I'm leaving, when I was, in my early 20s. She said, just promise me one thing, that you won't tell us that, you don't have money to come and you won't take money from us, so you're not visiting. I thought that was pretty reasonable. I said, okay, we will come one way, or the other. And
So how often do you get back to visit
So-
the US?
so we go every summer, basically. My husband teaches, he's off over the summer. I work on the computer, almost everything, the translations, I'm getting files and I'm sending them back, so I can do that from anywhere. And a few years ago, maybe now it's already 10, 12, I'm not sure. We used to just go over the summer and that was it. My mother was having a bit of a hard time one winter and I saw a fantastically cheap ticket available. And I said, you know what, I'm going to pop over for, 10 days, whatever, like a quick trip in the winter. And that kind of became like, okay, now I go in on my own because my husband can't come, during the school year, really. I go for like 2 weeks over the winter. And then we go together for, a good chunk of time over the summer.
So in case if you and your husband got a job in the US, if your your husband's family would allow you to to travel or to stay there, to live that country, Israel, right? Now you are in Israel.
Yeah.
There-
You
to
say,
stay-
would we consider going back to America? I'm not.
Yes, because your husband's family, all relatives and family members there, right?
Both of us have family in both countries. Both sets of parents are in America. But I have a brother here and a brother and sister there, and he has a sister in each country. So the families are really kind of split. But we're not looking to go back to the States. I mean, there is some guilt as our parents age. I mean, when we left, we were in our 20s. We're now in our 50s. It's a whole, you don't necessarily think that long term. So like my sister in the States is a lot of stuff's falling on her as my parents get older. And when we come in, obviously, then we take over some of it, but it's not a simple situation being away. Is your family all in Vietnam?
Yes, my families and relatives in Vietnam. But the story here from my students, she got the scholarship to study in Hungary with her like a doctorate course. Yeah, but right now her husband disagreed to let her go to study there. So I'm wondering that if you got the chance to get a job there, if your husband allows you to get back to the US.
Well, so I would say actually our relationship is fairly egalitarian in that sense. Like it's not, a matter of would he let or not. But we would, work it out. And the truth is I appreciate the fact that he doesn't give me a hard time about going in the winter, even though he does not like being here alone. He also values and likes my parents. And, so he deals with it, he accepts it. But we would have an easy time getting jobs in the States, much easier than here, because you're talking about the religion and the nation and whatever, but we are both highly trained in Judaic studies. In America, there is a shortage of people with that training. In Israel, there is a longage. In Israel, there are plenty and plenty of people. The competition is much stiffer. It's much harder to get work here in those fields. So, if we were ever to decide that we wanted to go back to the States, we probably could, although possibly not in New York, which is which is where our parents are, because there's also very large communities, but there are lots and lots of smaller communities that are interested in having people, educators come in.
I have a question for you. And actually it'll bring in Gayatri a little more. When we think of meditation, we think, oh, it's only in India. And actually we can find meditation and all of those things in almost all religions. I happen to know that there's chant circles. No, Amrik, you need to turn on your video now, unless there is a reason. Write to me in the chat. So in Judaism, I know there are meditation practices that are different from what we do, from India or other parts of the world. Can you kind of elaborate on that a little?
Not really. I mean, we have a book about it. I don't think it's so different. I think sometimes what people use to focus, so, they'll take a biblical verse instead of whatever mantra, but I've never done anything with that. We do have a couple of books on it. I have not read them. Like if someone was interested, I know Aryeh Kaplan has a book on Jewish meditation. That was never my thing at all. But actually in the last number of years, I have started doing yoga. But I guess it's not hardcore classic, like probably most yogas in America also aren't, but I haven't done straight meditation, and I just don't know. That's the real answer.
But it is a part of Judaism.
There is at least some, there is some material on that. It's not a very widespread practice. I don't think there are, you can find people who, know some about it, but it's not in the ABCs, as we would say.
Okay. Gayatri, are you aware that meditation is something also outside of India?
Meditation, as you said, every religion has a meditation practice. They definitely do. The only reason why meditation has strong roots in India is because in some way, all these religions did end up in India. India is a secular country, and we have almost all the religions being practiced in India, which is why when we say meditation, we practice all the kinds of meditations. For example, when I say that I'm an Indian and I'm a Hindu by religion, I still studied Sufi meditation, which is more of a Muslim meditation technique, which comes from the Middle East. I also studied the majority candlelight meditations, wherein you light a candle in the dark and then you meditate. Those are the techniques that came from Judaism, unless I'm mistaken. The musical meditations, wherein we use music to heal ourselves, or we use music or certain kinds of affirmations and songs that we hear, that has its basis in Christianity. So yes, it is very right that every religion has its own way of meditation, but India happens to be the mother of meditation for one simple reason, that in India, there is not just one particular meditation technique. In India, we recognize all the meditation techniques, and we get to pick and choose from which suits us the best.
Right. Huang, do you have a meditation practice
Yes.
you do in
Yeah, for me.
Vietnam?
I have been doing that for some months after I got back to my country from India. I got to know about that it's very important to practice in the morning. And here people are more and more excited when practicing meditation. Yes, for their lives, they will release stress, focus on their career, their interests. So that's why here I have seen that people are more and more fascinated when practicing meditation.
What about you, Victor?
Meditation as a practice is something that I'm fascinated by. I actually practiced it briefly. I met a person about 5 years ago, and I would go over to her studio and we'd meditate for an hour. But the actual technique, the mental technique that's involved, I would say that I don't know anything about that. I've done interviews with Gayatri and talked with Gayatri about meditation. I think she may have done a 5-minute session with me once to teach me, but in terms of actual meditation practice, I would consider myself a novice. It's probably difficult for me to separate the meditation experience from the thinking experience. I'm an expert on the thinking experience because I treat my thoughts as though they're seeds. So I think about things, think about my life, and plant seeds on a regular basis. But in terms of meditation, if there's a conversation around meditation, chances are I would be doing more listening than talking. When it comes to any other topic, I can talk a blue streak and I can talk with some sort of authority because every opinion I have is based on something. So that's my thin slice of meditation. I have lots of respect for meditation, but it's difficult again for me to separate meditation from religion. It's almost like I might be a religious nut because I can't separate Judaism, I can separate Jewish religion from Jewish culture, and I can't separate meditation from religion either. So I guess I'm a work in progress.
But we all are. And do you know that thoughts are a part of meditation?
Intellectually, I get that, but in terms of the actual for lack of a better term, the mechanism of thought or the way that you organize your thinking in terms of what I do as opposed to meditation, a little bit is lost in the translation for me. But I do understand how powerful the mind is, and again, meditation in my world has to do with the mind a whole lot. Even though the mind and the spirit are two different components of a person, they seem so intertwined for me that it's difficult for me to separate the two in conversation.
So I'm sure Gayatri, if I said that right, has more to say on this with more expertise. I can just speak from the yoga classes that I do and the couple of teachers that I've had there, where a lot of the meditation, which really we just do at the end for a few minutes, what they call the relaxation, the idea is to empty your mind and to fight what they actually term monkey mind, where your mind is constantly racing and thinking, is to let all the thoughts go. And sometimes they tell you to focus on your breath, on your breathing, to pay attention to what's happening to your body. Or sometimes they'll say, picture yourself in like a beautiful place. Like I used to go to this gorgeous pool. It was an outdoor pool. I loved it. Got closed by the health authorities, I think, at some point. I never had any trouble there. But like, so you picture yourself on the water with the sun or whatever, and you're specifically trying to shut down the thoughts that are all the time racing and what do you need to do and what's happening and etc. And just relax and be calm. And what I have found is that the people who need that most desperately are the ones who are most incapable of doing it and or unwilling to even try it. No, they can't shut it. The people who are like all over and always stressed and blah, 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 they don't seem to be able to ever shut down. So you're like, you really should do yoga. They're like, no, I can't stand it. It's too slow.
So the whole idea, as you mentioned, that in India, we have several meditation techniques. One of the best meditation techniques is when you sit, you only focus on your breathing and there are no thoughts in your mind.
Right.
But if you can achieve that state very easily, then you really don't need to practice meditation at all. The problem is that we are unable to stop all the negative thoughts, which is where the transcendental meditation or mindful meditation or the heartfulness meditation comes into play, which means that if there are going to be thoughts in your mind throughout, and if there is not going to be a point when you are not thinking about anything, might as well think about something nice. Might as well think about something that is going to calm you down, that is going to soothe you, which is where imagine yourself in a forest or imagine yourself among the trees or by the riverside and then see a bridge. On the other side of the bridge, you can see this, you can see that, it's your future. It's like, manifesting all that you want in your life. But ideal time definitely remains the time when you are not thinking about anything absolutely. The mind is at the neutral state. It's in the neutral state like a car. It's not in first gear, it's not in reverse gear, it's not in fourth gear. It's right in the neutral. Nothing is happening. That is a state that comes by very rarely. And that is how other meditation techniques come into play. So when you talk about yoga poses, which are very slow in nature, the idea is to balance our body. When we do chakra meditation, so chakra meditation is basically, there are 7 focal points in our body. From our crown chakra, that is the center of our head. From there, we go down to the Mooladhara chakra, that is the root chakra, which is at the end of the spine, or more accurate location would be, because it is perpendicular, it will be right next to your genitals. So activating all those chakras is not a very tough task. It's easy. Each of the yoga posture that we do, it activates some or other chakra. For example, there is camel pose in yoga or chakrasan in yoga, which opens your heart chakra, that is your anahat chakra. Then there is fish pose in yoga, which activates your throat chakra, that is your Vishuddhi chakra. We go into mountain pose, and that mountain pose activates Swadhisthana chakra and Manipur chakra, which are located very close to each other. One is above the navel, other is under the navel. Squatting pose of yoga, it activates your Mooladhara chakra. Point is, the yoga is yogasan. So when we speak about yoga, it has 8 limbs. Asanas, that is the yoga postures, is just one part or one aspect of yoga. And as a certified yoga trainer, I can tell you that. It's just one aspect of it. But the major aspect of yoga is sadhana, samadhi, which is meditation. So meditation and a calm and quiet lifestyle forms the major part of yoga practice. So which is why in India, meditation has more importance, because kids start meditating right from when they are 5 years old. I mean, you ask an Indian kid, and the moment Indian kid says that, oh, I is being too energetic and needs to be calmed down, parents or the grandparents will sit that person down and will ask that person, okay, go ahead and chant Om for 15 times. Go ahead and chant Om for 5 minutes. And the child will do it. So without realizing it, Indian children start meditating right from the age of 5. However, with the changing culture, things are changing, so that meditation time has gone down, which is why the depressions, anxieties, and stress have gone on increasing. But I remember when I was in school, our school had separate 15 minutes only for meditation, and then the school would begin. So these are things, meditation is one practice that should start from school time itself.
I had encouraged, didn't happen, but a nephew who's hyperactive to do yoga or meditation to help calm down. But like I said, often the people who need it don't have the patience to do it. The other thing, okay, I don't know if you've been asked this before, but the movie Karate Kid, are you familiar with that? Okay, was that like good? Accurate?
So interesting. When they can start from the early stage, 5 years old. Wow. To do that,
Yeah.
karate class.
In India, we have this particular practice. It's not karate, it's not martial arts. It's called as Kalari Paitam. It comes from Kerala. If you check out that practice, you just want to go and bang your head on the wall because you see these kids, and they are doing things like you just don't, you cannot imagine them doing. They teach you sword fighting, they teach you how to use the shields, they teach you all the weapons. But before you touch those weapons, they first teach you how to exercise control over your mind. So before you touch those weapons, for years, those kids have to go through a practice wherein they are exercising control over the mind. And the idea is that if you cannot exercise control over your mind, you should not be touching the weapons. We don't want people with, we are living in the world wherein we really need people to exercise control over their minds because they have weapons in their hands. And it is during the war times that I feel like, okay, these people who are actually going through these kind of trainings, meditation is a very strong part of it, because these kids stand in one posture for 15 minutes, 1 hour. Why? Because they're exercising control over their mind and body so that they don't do anything recklessly.
Well,
It's not
that could
just
be-
about pressing a button.
That could be something, I don't know if this is, not to be discussed here, but the renewed discussion about gun control in the United States following yet another mass shooting by a kid with a gun, sort of touches on this. Is there a way to reduce
I agree.
violence?
Anybody who is going to get a weapon in the hand, anybody who has the authority to use a weapon, anybody who has the power to use the weapon needs to go through a mind training to make sure that person does not act impulsively. Because
Well, the
if you
problem
are
is in America, you don't have to go through anything, nothing whatsoever, no background checks, no training, no certification, nothing whatsoever. That blows me away that that's still the case. I don't know. Anyway, but it's interesting that some of the mindset, that's, I don't think part of the discourse, but something more systemic, to, address things more broadly. It's very interesting. I wouldn't have thought about that. I don't think most Americans have ever thought of that as a kind of training thing. It's not brought up at all in the conversations. It's another interesting weapon, if you will, maybe to try to tamp down some of the violence,
It's more like, imagine that you have a person standing outside your house with a gun. Who would you want that person to be? How would you want that person to be? That should answer all the questions. Do you want an impulsive person standing outside your house with a gun? Even though he's your security guard, it's okay if he's your security guard, but if he's impulsive, he's bound to harm the society in some way. So the idea is, every time you want to pick up a gun or every time you want to support gun laws, just ask this question to yourself. There is a man standing outside your house with a gun. Who would you want that man to be? Maybe that man anticipates that there is a terrorist in your house. How would you want that man to behave? Impulsively come inside your house and shoot everyone down? Or you want that person to be someone who will maybe enter your house, but assess the situation rather than just impulsively start firing? It's about the mind training. Meditation is not about just calming down your mind, but it is also about awakening your senses. And those awakening of the senses involves awakening of compassion, awakening of empathy, which comes from the heart chakra.
Yes, but here they don't allow to use guns or weapons. So that's the thing. Just in special cases with army or policemen. But I'm curious that some people can meditate with music. For me, I usually meditate without music, and they have said that when meditating with listening some kind of music that will lead to some problems. So what will Carla?
Before we go past that, and meditating with music is fine. I have an app called Sattva, which I use for silent meditation, not music. And if anything that calms down the mind, music itself is a matter of calming the mind and bringing people together, especially when there's no concern about the words and the meaning of words. However, I do want to correct something and make it very clear. In the United States, kids are not allowed to have guns either. Whatever happened, and I don't want to get into that whole thing, it wasn't because the kids are allowed to bring guns into school. They are not. That child just, somehow snuck it in, which is not appropriate at all. But I want to make sure you know that, because it's a very important point.
Thank you.
I think the kids can't, but this, the person who just shot up thing turned 18 and went out and bought automatic weapons with no checks, no
Right.
nothing. So
But it's still not something that is allowed or even encouraged.
It's illegal. Nobody can bring guns. Just for some policemen or militaries, yeah. Nobody
Right.
can carry guns.
I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that, because when you said that, I'm like, no, it's not allowed. But music, you can also use laughter as a way of calming yourself into meditation. You can use your smile. I am also a meditation teacher, Gayatri. I don't know if you knew that.
I knew that. Art of Living meditation, you teach the Sudarshan Kriya as taught by
Right.
Ravi Shankar.
And also, I was a transcendental meditation teacher.
Okay.
When you start connecting music with meditation, I think it's important to make a distinction, because some of the things that pass for music
Well,
so maybe classical music or maybe gospel music, or some of the things that pass for music, I don't think it enhances meditation in the least.
well, I agree. Rap music, I wouldn't consider as a great way to.
Most definitely.
I see we have Leo. Leo is a meditation and a music guy.
Oh, is he a friend of yours?
Good
He's
friend
a
of mine,
friend
yes.
of ours.
Leo, please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Leo Hickman. I am in Sacramento, California. I've been in Toastmasters since 2014. Victor first introduced me. Done competitions, done all those good things. Now I'm working with himself and Gayatri on the back end and starting other businesses outside of Toastmasters. That is me.
He has a tea company. Tell him about Classy Hippie.
I was going to just come to that. So when Leo talks about this company, he's talking about a lifestyle, and it is actually close to what we were just talking about, meditation. He talks about the holistic life, and for him, meditation is all about going into the nature, exploring the life, and he does all of that. He organizes all of those things. Well, I'm going to let Leo talk. I'm going to.
Right
Thank
on.
you.
I love it. I love it. So, T for us is an acronym for travel, events, and activism. And we have created a member based organization that really just loves T as a modality, but we enjoy traveling together, networking together, and figuring out how we can get active in different communities around the world. So, currently, we're involved in about 7 countries doing agriculture, primarily tea, coffee, fruits, vegetables, things of that sort. We really love food and edible plants. But in addition to that, we also teach people how to do wilderness training, just to survive in the outdoors. And we do it all through fine beverage that we create here in house. I feel like that was a
So,
really quick synopsis.
and how long have you been meditating?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
How long have you been involved with meditation?
Meditation started probably around 2005 with Tai Chi. I first got involved in Tai Chi and martial arts, and from there got into tea and travel and meditation.
And you brought up a very important point that meditation doesn't mean just sitting and going, oh, oh. Meditation can be movement. Children in both transcendental meditation and the art of living learn to do an open eye meditation. Open eye meditation can be also used by adults if you focus on something really beautiful or something that really affects you deep inside and you're looking towards it, it can get you to meditation very easily. I remember being in silence and sitting on the grass in Santa Barbara, and all of a sudden I knew that the world was all one. It wasn't even a question. And my eyes were open. I remember that as a 5-year-old kid.
That's beautiful.
So meditation is more than just thinking, getting rid of thoughts. Your thoughts could be leading you to meditation. That's why, Victor, when you said that, I said thoughts can be a part of meditation. Whether, they're nice or good or kind of like yucky, they're a part of that whole process.
I feel like as I grow in my meditation, the definition for me is definitely evolving. And currently, the definition that I'm working with is meditation is the communication between me and the other selves that make up me, which would come down to subconscious or split personalities, other personalities, but we all have different sides of ourselves. And the way that I communicate with them is my new version of meditation that I'm heavily practicing.
And you can create your own meditation. You don't need to go to some guru, and because we're all our own gurus. We are all our own teachers. Now,
Yes.
that doesn't mean that I disrespect gurus. I definitely have a lot of respect for Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. I've learned a lot from him. But things can happen within that have nothing to do with anyone else, because you are your own teacher when you begin to connect with who you really are, and not everyone around you saying, oh, you should be a doctor. No, and then someone else says, no, you should be a teacher, and someone else said something else. You need to know what's in you in order to become who you are.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I believe that for a guru, the happiest moment in life is when the disciple starts realizing that he is his own guru,
Mm.
or when the disciple starts going on his own, and the disciple is in a position to explore himself or herself, wherein now they are actually independent. They are not dependent on anyone at all for anything. And for every guru, that is the goal, to make the disciple so self-dependent that the disciple should not even feel the need to look at the guru again.
And actually,
And I do it tonight.
you just gave me an epiphany from things that my guru had said and what it may have meant, and I didn't realize it at the time. So
I think also,
we learn from each other. Our first guru is our mom. And then as we grow, our gurus become everyone we meet.
Mother is called as the Param Guru, which means the Guru of Gurus, that because she is the first Guru of our life.
I think the idea of training up people who then can become independent actually is shared by most teachers in most
Yes.
disciplines. You know, the goal is that your students should become teachers. You know?
Yes, that is true. That is true. And if your student feels the need of coming back to you every time there is a problem, then the guru has not done a good job. Then the guru has failed, utterly failed.
And you know, that is something I've been speaking to a friend of mine about. And basically, I have been put in a situation where I need to make my own decisions and not just run to the guru, because it's up to me to know what is right for me. No one else can tell me that. Victor Huang, you're extremely quiet.
Yes.
It is my desire to be quiet. The only reason I talk really is because other people are not contributing anything that's entertaining. But on this session today, I've got lots of data. People have said lots of things. And my man Leo is so well spoken on this broadcast. I am just amazed at how he's grown, because he wasn't always like how he is. And he's just well spoken right now. And I am pleased to know him. And I'm pleased that you connect him with somebody that I know, because once again, it makes me look like some sort of a guru. But I only look like a guru. I'm not a real one.
But you are.
You are.
a guru. That's the most stupid comment you could make.
Well, I got stupider ones.
Well,
I think he is being modest. I think that is him being modest.
He's no guru, he's a Buddha. Look at his head.
right.
He's a Buddha.
And he's laughing Buddha, because every time you see him, he's laughing. And laughing Buddha is good luck charm for everyone.
Yes, yes. I
I
love
know,
it.
but but for myself, all the time, I remind myself that it's easy said than done. So I believe myself can do that. But from my office, every day they ask me more and more than that. New tasks, new duty, new thing to be creative or something more and more and more. So they never accept to be ourselves. So that's why sometimes I feel very stressed and tense. So I love practicing meditation. So it's been keep my mind fresh and focused. Yes, of course.
So I'm doing that movement of new things and needing to move forward is also something that is stretching you to make you a better person. I remember Rayhan always saying that. He still does to me. about making those stretches, about making those differences in life. And you can only do that as you are growing. If you just stayed in one place and you were stagnant, you wouldn't be growing at all. You would just be along. I teach my English class, I teach economics, and I'm in my comfort zone. Get out of your comfort zone and move forward.
I'm doing that, but it takes time, right, to do that, to make change.
But be happy where you are, because when you begin to feel happy where you are at the moment, more comes to you. If you're thinking, oh, I can't do this and I won't do it and blah, 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 that's right. That is what's going to happen. But if you want to move forward, you need to be happy with who you are and where you're going.
Yes, obviously, I'm doing that. Even a lot of failures and mistakes, but I'm still moving ahead. And also, people want me to cry, but no, I'm still smiling.
And mistakes are a part of growth. If you don't make mistakes, you're not going to move forward. And with that, we have come to an hour of Planet Union. We will be back. Thank you, Victor. Thank you, Yocheved, who has left us for whatever reason. Thank you, Huang, Gayatri, and Leo for coming. I hope you will join me again. And right now we are going to wave goodbye. The kids show will be happening in about an hour. Send your kids to Speak English on the Speak English Foundation page. Bye.
Be well, everyone.